Howdy folks, for today's video I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I've been up to lately and a podcast that I've been working on. Actually, not that I've been working on it most recently, but I've been doing it with a couple of guys for about almost a year. We're coming close to the 52 episodes. We've been doing them once a week and we're coming up on a year. So just wanted to talk a little bit about the podcast to give you guys a heads up for those of you who do not know what the podcast is and stuff. But anyways, the podcast that I am a part of, the group, there's about 4 or 5 guys that we all participate on this podcast. Some weeks some guys can make it, some weeks other guys can make it. But there's a total of 5 of us right now, and we usually try and have some guests on there. And anyways, there's me, Taco, Mike, whatever, and one of my buddies. His name is Jason, and he's from concealmentsolutions.com. And he's the guy, who made me he's made me a bunch of custom holsters. He's a holster maker. That's what he does for his daytime job. But he's the guy who made the infamous high point drop leg holster for the high point with a suppressor on it in hot pink and skull. So anyways, he did this one. He's also done my Smith & Wesson R8, which is my 8-shot revolver, and it's chambered in .357 mag. And that one I like to take if I'm going like camping or hiking and, you know, maybe bear country, whatever, or just I feel like open carrying a .357 with 8 shots. And so he made me that holster, and he's made me some other ones. Another one that's kind of more famous, I guess. I don't know if it's famous, but this one, and this is it's a drop leg for my 500 mag revolver. And even though it's like super heavy, the gun is super heavy and stuff, it's still a really sweet holster to have. He's kind of a master of kydex, and he makes all kinds of holsters for concealed carry and also for open carry, or, you know, the types of stuff if you're going hiking in the woods and you need something. And the drop legs, those are some of my favorite for if you're just wearing it around. But yeah, I'm trying to get my buddy Joe to buy one of these so that we can do our 500 mag quick draw duels and do them drawing from a holster. But anyways, so, oh yeah, just real quick too, he also makes like holsters for knives, or in other words, like knife sheaths. And this is like, this knife right here, it's like kind of a cheapy knife, but I bought it a long time ago, and it was just, I don't know, I thought it was a cool shape, and I've had it for a long time now. I bought it when I was, you know, a poor college student, I believe. And anyways, I've taken this camping several times. I've taken it out with the scouts, and you can kind of cut down or cut off branches or whatever with this thing. It's pretty awesome. But he made this sheath for it, and it's pretty awesome. The old one was made out of like fake leather and stuff. So anyways, go ahead, check out concealmentsolutions.com if you're looking for a holster. But yeah, Jason is one of the guys on the podcast, and we also have a guy, his name is Mark Housekeeper. He makes horizontal mag carriers as for one of his businesses, and he's also on the podcast. I don't know if you guys saw the video or if you remember, but he's the guy who I went hawking with his bird. He's another guy on the podcast. And then there's 2 UPS drivers who do like long hauling across the country. And those 2 guys originally, like back in the day, in the early Obama days, they started a podcast called The Gun Dudes, and it's actually a really popular podcast, and a lot of they're pretty goofy but also fun, and they have good information. So because of the group of guys we have, Mark joined us a little bit later, so he didn't get part of his company's name in the name of the podcast, but it is the Concealed Taco Dudes, and the name comes from Jason's company, Concealment Solutions. That's where we get the concealed, and then me, Taco, and then the other two guys were the original Gun Dudes guys. So Concealed Taco Dudes. It's kind of a weird name for a podcast that deals with guns, but I don't know. That's just what we went with. Anyways, I want you guys to all check it out if you get a chance. The reason I've been putting effort and time into a podcast instead of just doing tons of videos is that with the current political state of things and with Google, YouTube, and all the censoring going on, it's tough to be able to say what you want and get your message out without it being filtered through Google and whoever, and if they don't like what you're saying, then they just delete it. With the podcast, I really enjoy doing it because I can say what I want. I can talk about guns, I can talk about casting, I can teach things, we can touch on touchy subjects, and anyways, it's a good way for me and the other guys to just say what we want and say what we feel and not be censored by any of the big tech companies. So I encourage you to check it out, give it a listen, give it a couple episodes or something in case we did a really poor episode. But we usually, in the episodes, we have a format of, we start off with the introductions, whoever the guest is for that week, and then we talk about what we did with guns, and I really like that section of the podcast just because I get to talk about the different things I'm working on. I'm usually working on so many different projects at a time that none of you guys even know about until I finally finish up one of the projects and then have time to do a video about it and share it with you guys. But if you listen to the podcast, then you can kind of keep up with different ideas we have and stuff I'm working on. And then after we do our what we did with guns, we usually have a news article, and that usually is a self-defense in the news that I find in the news, not by mainstream news it seems, but we have a self-defense news article. We read it and then we talk about it a bit, and it's always cool to have a consistent self-defense story every week. We don't really hear about it because of the mainstream media. They don't really cover self-defense if it involves a gun. But that's the other thing. And then we move on to our topic portion where we usually have a specific topic or something that we talk about. Sometimes we get distracted and we ramble on something else. But it's usually a lighthearted podcast where there's some decent information, and I think it's quite enjoyable. I enjoy making it. But, even for example, the last episode that we just did this last week, we had Reverend Ken Blanchard. He's the guy from it's called a Black Man with a Gun podcast. And he has been podcasting and doing different YouTube things for a long time. But we got him as a guest, and we've had other company business owners talk about their products, and I hope to get some silencer manufacturers, or it'd be nice to have the Mad Dog weapon system guys hop on and talk about all the different wildcats that they've come up with and what each one is good for and why they came up with it. But this week I think we're gonna have a local policeman cop on the podcast and maybe share some stories and stuff. But anyways, if you like guns, you like the Second Amendment, reloading, casting, news, self-defense, then feel free to give the podcast a listen to and try it out. You can find the podcast on pretty much everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. Google Podcasts, Apple. You can even go to concealedtacodudes.com and you can listen to podcasts directly from the website, and even on the Reloaders Network we have them posted there too. And so we always try to take the listener feedback and respond to it and be responsive that way. So if you guys have ideas that you want to listen to or you hear something that's wrong and you want to correct us, we do take that to heart, and we do have an email set up for listener feedback. And anyways, so give it a listen to, and I hope you enjoyed this video and hope you enjoy the podcast. So until next time, catch you later.